was a consideration.
Now, back to Willard and Dibs on 95.7 The Game.
Interesting conversation we're having here as we get ready to go back to you and go to the phones here at 888-957-9570. I think it's an extension of what you just asked me earlier, Dibs, and that is, are the Giants any better today? I get that a fan base is angry, and by the way, if you're just joining us, Gabe Kapler has been fired as manager of the Giants, won't even manage this weekend. Farhan stays. Farhan's the one who released the statement that Gabe Kapler would be fired. So the question sort of becomes is like, how do you feel as a fan? I can only answer it by saying this, ... Like, nothing got decided today. So maybe this, like, it scratches your itch. It scratches your angry itch as a fan. But nothing changed in the standings today. The Giants didn't get better on the field or worse. You know what I mean? Like, that's why when you asked me, did they get better today? The only way I can answer it is not yet. They might. This might end up being a good thing. But if the question is, as a fan, how are you feeling today? Are you more optimistic? Are you less optimistic? Or are you flat? I'm flat. Like, I got to see, right? Like, that roster's got to start changing before I'm going to get excited.
But if the roster doesn't change, can a new manager get more out of this roster than Gabe Kapler has over the last 2 months? That would make me feel like I'm more optimistic going forward, even if you don't sign any free agent. If you come back with this exact same roster next year, which is, just for the hypothetical nature of this conversation, and you have a new manager, fresh eyes in that clubhouse, somebody who could maybe motivate this group, I think that there's a better chance of that than this team actually getting worse as is. So I'm optimistic. I do think that they got better by this firing because they need to do something to move this thing forward.
Yeah, it moves forward, but it doesn't make them better until somebody who is not going to strike out with the bases loaded is on the team. That's got to be first and foremost, and obviously there's nothing they can do about that today. Chris in Irvine here with Willard and Dibs. Hey, Chris, what you doing?
Good afternoon, gentlemen. I'm so happy they got rid of Kapler. He seemed too much of a clown. Look at me. He was always oiled. He looked greasy, eating an apple during the game. He rubbed me the wrong way. I know he's never had a consistent third guy hitting in the lineup. He doesn't play the game. You got to get some players. We're a 500 team at best. You're going to have to clean house. And I'm glad they're starting with him. Get him out right now. Thank God.
Chris, it's interesting because I think and thanks, Chris, he speaks for a lot of people, but that's sort of what I'm getting at. I think most of you are excited that Gabe Kapler is gone because, as Chris says, quote, he rubbed me the wrong way.
Yeah.
Well, that's got nothing to do with the standings. Eating an apple in the 7th inning did not stop the Giants from being in first place this year.
It does have something to do with it if he rubbed some of them the wrong way.
That's fair.
By many indications, he rubbed some of them the wrong way.
Yeah.
Whether it's Sean Manaea or Ross Stripling or Alex Wood, there is a sense that I've gotten that he may have rubbed some of them the wrong way.
For sure. However, I asked you right off the top of this week, because this is one of the things we were discussing. It felt like it was starting to march this way. And we were talking about Kyle Shanahan, Gabe Kapler, Steve Kerr. I said, hey, do you feel like you need to like your boss? You're all going to answer the exact same way. No.
Of course not.
As a boss, do you need to be liked? Is that like the number one thing you're after?
No, and I answered it the same way then as I will now, that you have to be respected. And I don't know if some of those names I just threw out respected him as much as they would have or should have based on maybe they felt like Kapler was jacking them around or not using them the way that they want to be used. And, I'll say this, in this business, there was a time where I don't think that I was being used the way I should have been used. And whether or not I liked that program director or not, I didn't respect him as much because he wasn't using me the right way.
No, of course. I definitely think there are some players who feel that way. However, I think the players are also very, very aware of the fact that a lot of these decisions about where they pitch, how often they pitch, if they pitch in Sacramento, that's not Gabe. Certainly not just Gabe. at all.
Right.
That's coming from the guy who just fired Gabe.
But if it's coming from Gabe and it's coming, either indirectly from somewhere else, or if it's not being communicated as clearly as the players want, or if they're not being used the way that they think that they should, that's a problem that unfortunately Gabe has to fix because he is the manager. I will say this before we take more calls. I'm surprised that it's one and not both of these guys. I didn't think that they would have kept Farhan and gotten rid of Gabe in this fashion. That surprises me.
Yeah.
I thought that they would be linked.
As it got later in the week, I'm not surprised at all. And in fact, even once there started to be public statements about it yesterday by Farhan Zaidi, you could tell that it wasn't going to be that. It was going to be, hey, Farhan, can you come up with a plan that makes sense to us? And clearly he did. And now we'll see if he can execute it, because that's obviously been a problem at times as well. Rocky in the city next up here on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Rocky, what's going on?
Hey, guys. Mark, before I give you the name of the next manager for the San Francisco Giants, let me open with this. You don't have to lose the consideration of using your Gabe Kapler impression, nor your competitor.
No, it's a good point. I'm still using boats, so maybe I can still use Yap. We'll see.
Absolutely. They're timeless. They are former managers. But I think I got the perfect next manager for us. He's not only beloved by the fan base, respected as a former player, and an integral part of World Series winning teams, but I think he actually brings that desperately needed old school style of management that we Giants fans want, and our team will get behind, and so much that it might actually help us sign an Ohtani or a superstar. So game show music, please.
Oh, wow.
Look at you making
Rocky,
your shot.
Rocky, you
calling a shot.
You've listened to a few shows before, haven't you?
Come on, guys.
It doesn't sound like you actually have a game show for us, though. You just have a big reveal.
Oh, no, I got it. Oh, you ready? He's your nephew of former Major League Baseball player Hal Smith. No?
And?
Spent 11 seasons with the San Diego Padres, collecting a total of 209 runs batted in. You ready? He was the third base coach of the San Francisco Giants from 2007 to 2014.
Tim Flannery.
Rocky,
Hey!
I mean, I love the man. Buster Posey's kid has a better chance of managing this team than Tim Flannery. I love the guy. Tim Flannery wants to go live in the woods now, man. He's done with this world. I get it. But golly, Farhan Zaidi and Tim Flannery working together? Hell's going to have to freeze over about 5 times.
Yeah.
I think he'd do great.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Rocky, thanks. Thanks for being a good listener, too.
And being a good sport for having your take get rebuked and rebutted. But those guys are about as far apart on the polar spectrum as you could possibly want. Farhan needs a guy who believes in analytics, and he will follow along with the spreadsheet and the blueprint, but also somebody who's not afraid to get up in somebody's business and shake somebody's tree. And that's where Gabe Kapler fell short, because these players, they lapsed into a certain baseball coma since the All-Star break. You didn't add in anyone at the deadline.
Yep.
You thought that this team was either good enough, or you thought the young guys were going to get experience. Whatever you thought, your team didn't even flatline after the break. You sank like a stone.
It's not that I disagree that the manager needed to be more involved in the clubhouse. I do think it's our nature. It's our nature as fans, and even just as people, when we're frustrated with something, we want someone who will come in and scream and yell and throw stuff. That's not this is just me. That doesn't do a damn thing if you ask me.
Sure.
Talk to 30-year-old men who have wives and kids, and you need to scream and yell. It's not that. It's just you need to be more involved. You need to be a more vocal leader. I don't care if you're yelling. Your presence needs to be felt in the clubhouse, more accountability across the board. Whatever that looks like or sounds like is fine by me. But if I had to put, and this is the ultimate credit to an all-time great, if I had to put an answer to the question of why was he the manager of the year 2 years ago, but today fired, It's Buster. 2 years ago, his let the clubhouse police itself policy worked because he had another manager in the corner office. Now he doesn't. And so that doesn't work. So what's Gabe guilty of? He's guilty of not evolving to a new situation. He used the same sort of approach in two different situations. One time it worked, and the other time it very, very clearly did not.
Well, it worked in part because of Buster, but also because Brandon Crawford had a career year. He was healthy. Brandon Belt was mostly healthy and also had a career year.
Yep.
And Buster was coming off a year that he took off, and so he was fresh, and he had a monster season as well. So, yes, there was not the same leadership vacuum in the clubhouse that appears to be there this year, but you also had these kinds of baseball players have monster years. So this year, you didn't have anybody have a monster year. Wilmer Flores was above average.
Really good, yeah. And
Logan Webb was fantastic. Camilo Doval was great, and I think Kapler overused him. That's something we can debate maybe when we're in the old folks' home in 20 years because it doesn't matter anymore. Yeah. But he needed to, weeks ago, find a different approach because his approach of let's take our shoes off and go spend time with our breathing coordinator, who they have on staff, paid full time. That wasn't working.
I'm a big fan of breathing. Why you got to come down that road?
Because sometimes you got to get into heavy breathing.
Yeah, I understand.
And you got to get into loud vocal breathing, and you got to flip the spread, and you got to throw at somebody, and you got to come in spikes high.
I guess I'm not celebrating today for that reason. It's not because I got some sort of a Gabe crush and I wore his outfit for Halloween last year. It's because nothing's happened yet. They didn't get better yet. This is how I view it. The only reason today is good is because, as you said, something needed to happen. And this qualifies as something. It does not mean the Giants are fixed. So y'all can celebrate, and that's fine. I'm not celebrating until the Giants are winning and exciting. And today they remain not. They will play in a few hours against the Dodgers, probably get their butts kicked because the other team's got a bunch more better players. That's when I'll celebrate. And if they then need somebody else to come in and hold those guys accountable, communicate with them, and employ them in the field, great. If that works, great. I will hold my celebration until then. I get why they did it. Something had to be done. But I'm not running laps today because the Giants aren't any better today than they were yesterday.
If they lose tonight and Kai Correa is acting manager, he's got to go. Jokingly, I say that.
0-1.
But I'll say this.
But he might.
If the Giants,
a new manager's going to hire new people.
Really want to put a positive spin on this in the short term, you give Alyssa Nacken a shot over these next 3 games. And you say, you know what?
Oh, that'd be amazing.
Today, Alyssa, you are the acting manager because it doesn't matter. So why not do something positive out of this morass of negativity?
I think doing that on Sunday would be a wonderful idea. It's Fan Appreciation Day. Kyle Harrison's pitching.
Sure.
Let's go. I think that's an awesome idea.
Make history. While you're all trying to pick through the carcass of Gabe Kapler, make a little history.
Patrick in South City next up on Willard and Dibs. Hey, Patrick, what's up? Thanks for calling.
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Good.
Hey, listen, today I'm on the Dibs Spin Club, and I'm going to tell you why. Did you guys hear the interview with Farhan with Tolbert yesterday? Goodness gracious, man. This guy is completely clueless. He all he does is he went off on all these tangents. Oh, well, you know, we gave up I think he said something about giving up the least walks in the league for this year. I'm sitting there like, dude, get a grip. Your team's in complete chaos. Everyone hates this manager. Like, we have no talent on this team, and all you're talking about is nonsense. Like, we fans, and I've been a fan since I'm 5 years old, we want to hear concrete steps on what your plans and your vision is to make this team a winner. And you never hear that from this guy.
Patrick, let's explore what you're saying for a second. Give me an example of a statement that he could have made publicly yesterday that really would have spoken to you. I would love to hear that. What specifically what you want him to say?
Here's what I was waiting for. Well, you know what? We have about $60 million of payroll freeing up this year, plus what we already have, and I'm going to make my best effort to go out and get some serious impact players, period. He tells me that as a fan. I'm feeling good. I'm like, well, you know what? This guy has a clue. He's got a Ned Colletti vision, you know, like he wants to go out there and sign big players. and that this team and ownership is committed to that, to us fans and this organization and this community for next year.
I guess it's interesting, Patrick, because I feel like they've had a ton of payroll flexibility and have tried to go sign impact players every offseason, and they've stated publicly the statement you just made about 20 times. But you want to hear it again? I don't want statements. I want them to land them. I don't want to hear that you have. I know you have money. I like, believe me. I go to the games. I see how much money comes in there. Do you know what I mean? I guess, Patrick, here's my response to you. You're certainly not wrong in your feeling, and thank you so much, Patrick. I think we got to stop getting so caught up into what these people say in a public forum. Their words. Well, Jordan Poole will be on the team, and Gabe Kapler is under contract, and they're doing an interview. What is it that you want them to say that's going to make you feel so good?
I want action, Mark.
Right. I would argue, who cares what the words are anymore?
Sure.
I don't want any more words. They've got all the best words. Who cares?
That's why this action for me is so significant, but it doesn't go all the way because you're still left with Farhan Zaidi, who has not, in my opinion, done enough in terms of actions. And I know that he had said in recent days that signing players to long-term deals is definitely a part of their immediate future. So now you got to go out there and do it because those are words. Yeah. And so far, the only action that they've taken is a Logan Webb extension in terms of long-term deals. That's the only one.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I mean by I'm not celebrating today. I know you needed to do something. Now you did. But there's a bunch of other somethings. You've got to go do all those too. And quite frankly, yes, would I celebrate if Shohei or Bellinger or they trade for Mike Trout? Would I celebrate? Yeah, I would get excited by any of those things, but I'm not really going to celebrate until the Dodgers come to town and the Giants don't look like the bottom of a steamroller. That's when I'll celebrate. Be able to have the Braves come into town and have it not look on TV or in the stands like, holy hell, how the hell are we going to compete with this? That's when I'm going to celebrate. So you guys have your pound of flesh. I get it. It's fine.
It's not you guys.
Well, no. Wait a minute. No, a lot of people are totally. Do you know how many times on my phone already I've got the text, Kapler! Exclamation points.
But what did you want?
You guys are
celebrating. You didn't want to have them run this back?
I did not want to have them run this back. But for me, it was never just about Gabe. It is about the entire picture.
Right.
Give me one aspect of the Giants this year that does not shoulder some blame.
Boy. Front office, blame.
Yep.
Ownership, blame.
Okay. Manager?
I was going to go to the mayor first,
okay.
London Breed. She gets a piece of this, unfortunately.
I'm going to say, how about the people selling the food? I got
they
nothing.
Don't get any blame.
Yeah, I got nothing against you.
They're not the one who's made the crab sandwich $20.
Ownership, front office, Gabe, players. Check.
Yeah, the full coaching staff. You've got the worst defense in baseball, and you don't steal bases, and you don't hit home runs. So you're trying to win games 1-0.
Yeah,
37 times you scored 1 run or fewer so far.
I'm not calling today a bad day. I'm just saying that that's not everything.
So you scapegoat Gabe
everything.
Kapler, and
unfortunately, that's the way it works.
Well, now what?
Yeah.
So Farhan's back. It appears. They had him issue the statement.
Sure.
So now, what do you do? What do you do if the roster doesn't get appreciably better between now and April?
I would be the same level of mad.
Okay, well,
same level.
And I wonder, doesn't Zaidi have just 1 year left on his deal?
That is my understanding.
Theoretically, yeah. So you going to extend him, or you're going to let a lame duck president of baseball ops hire the next manager?
I don't know. Warriors are sending some pretty big names out as lame ducks.
Yeah, he's a 4-time champ.
Yeah.
So it's slightly different than Farhan Zaidi, who has never won a playoff series in his tenure.
Yeah, but I would argue that's all the more reason to not do an extension for Farhan Zaidi. I'm just saying, I don't think today's not even the day for that. You know what I mean? What is it you're going to do next? Well, you can't do anything today. It's Friday, September 29th, and you got a game against the Dodgers, and there are no free agents, literally none, that are available. You're not allowed to do that right now. So, yeah, the offseason's got to be awesome. And if this is step one, then okay, fine. But I'll celebrate when there's a starting lineup that I can't wait to hear Rennell announce. That's my celebration.
With genuine enthusiasm.
Yes. Roach in Sunnyvale. Hey, Roach, you're on with Willard and Dibs. What's going on? What's your thought?
Hey, I remember the 2014 October when Savvy Perez hit that fly ball and Sandoval caught it for our third World Series. I feel that much excitement as a Giants fan after hearing that Gabe has been fired. I mean, I am so tired of this platoon stuff and not playing the hot hand and people sitting out after hitting 2 home runs the previous day. I honestly feel that 107-win season was like the worst thing that happened to us because that delayed this whole thing. It got us all excited when I think everybody knew this was not going to work. So I'm definitely glad. And analytics can help your organization, but analytics cannot run your organization. That's it.
Well, Roach, thanks for the call. I totally understand it. This is one area where, and I might be in the minority here. I know a lot of you are never going to agree with me on this. I just do not see it that way at all. What was the Seattle manager just about 2 days ago was asked about, this is a huge game. Why are some of your best players not playing? And he goes, these are the people who play against a left-handed pitcher. Wow. How exciting is that? Why do I bring that up? This idea that many, in my opinion, many Giants fans have fallen into a trap of believing that the Giants do something that other teams don't. Now, do they do it excessively? Yes. I think that's circumstantial. I don't think the Giants wanted to do this.
That's the issue for me. It's the circumstance is the problem.
It's the lack of execution.
It's the lack of talent. Yes. You have to approach the game this way because you don't have everyday players.
They didn't want to do this. They got stuck with this based on failure in free agency, based on injuries, based on misevaluations, all of those things. So if you want to attack that, let's attack that. Attacking analytics, well, you better get in line with every single major league team out there because all of them are doing it to a certain degree. It just doesn't look as bad when you've got a middle of the order, and the Giants don't have it. So the idea that the 107 wins 2 years ago was somehow a bad thing because, quote, we all knew it wasn't going to work. Well, no, you didn't, because what if they got Aaron Judge or what if Carlos Correa was a star? The problem is not in analytics. The problem is poor evaluation / execution at every level since the 107 wins.
And why can't you bring in free agents? Is it because the ballpark? Is it because the manager? Is it because your president of baseball ops is not a closer? Is it because of homelessness in San Francisco? Is it because of California state taxes? Whatever the reasons are that you can't bring in free agents, if that's the reality, and that has been the reality, well, now you have to devise a new way to get more talent on your roster. And if it means you trade prospects to bring in hitters, then you do that. And obviously shoveling money at a guy hasn't worked because Aaron Judge wasn't going to come here no matter what. And Shohei Ohtani, I wonder if he would even come here. And I wonder how he looks at the situation now in this broken organization.
Just call him and ask him who he wants to be the manager.
Exactly. What if he says Gabe Kapler? Then what?
Well, then they just really messed up.
Totally. Ow! That really hurt.
That would be incredible. Through a translator, of course.
Yes.
How do you say Gabe Kapler?
Bring back Kapler and I'll sign with you just to troll the Giants.
Oh, for crying out loud. Yeah. It's going to have to swing big. You got to swing really, really big now. There's going to have to be some big trades. Yeah, there's going to have to be some major signings. There's going to have to be a whole new way of thinking. And that, to me, is the biggest challenge for Farhan.
Yeah.
He sort of needs to do it a way that he's not accustomed to doing.
This is big news today, but you're right about the offseason. The totality of the offseason, for me, is bigger than this managerial change.
Absolutely. Again.
You got to get a better team.
Again, watch. All of you who are so excited that Gabe Kapler's gone, turn the game on tonight. Go ahead. Watch the lineup. Not going to be any better.
If they win, then that just tells you they should have fired Kapler a long time ago.
Scored 9 runs in the first inning.
That's it.
You're like, whoa.
Jock Peterson, 2 homers in the first.
Why are you guys so excited?
Exactly.
Jock Peterson. I heard Jock's already in the cage now.
Locking in.
Oh, he's locked in. He's got an iPad next to him. He is studying. He's in the lab.